Aloha family, and I hope you all are having a wonderful holidays. It's almost Christmas, that's coming up, and in about 3 weeks, maybe about 2 weeks, comes the St. Croix Winter Ultra, the Ultra 40. And this will be my 4th year doing it. It's going to be a unique year because this is going to be the first time ever that I'm doing it on a fat tire bike. I've done the foot race, I've done it on skis, and I'm kind of kicking myself because I've been scared to do it, and if I would have done it last year, which was perfect, I would have been one of the first to get the trifecta award, which is doing all 3 disciplines. So anyways, wish me luck on that. This video is not about the fat tire bike. Obviously, we got the sleds out here. This is a long awaited video on some of the tips and tricks and kind of how I packed and changed things up and evolved it from my very first time all the way out to last year when I took the sled out again. This video is requested by a good friend of mine, Kevin Wegner, who was part of the Water Tribe group. He was one of the paddlers that came out to do the Border Route Challenge with us this year. So he's got an amazing video on that. Go ahead and check that out, but let's dive into this for now. The first time that I did it, you may have watched on my video about how it was just, I went too heavy, and I took my kind of winter camping load and mentality and I packed that into this, and I said that if I would change things up again, I would definitely lighten my load. And that's exactly what I've done here. I went from maybe about 20 pounds, 25 pounds to really about 10 pounds of gear here, and that includes the water. I think I'm about 7 pounds, maybe closer to 8 without the water here. And we're going to talk about things and kind of break it down. First and foremost, I'm not in my full winter kit here. It's hot enough, but if I was wearing it, I want you to picture a bunch of pockets. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that every pocket kind of has a job. I have one pocket here for just my garbage, and then I have another pocket for gels, and a pocket for like my electrolyte replacements, and then the other pockets that are my cargo pockets. Well, that's where I keep my bars. I plan to be on the route for about 12 hours last year when I did this, and I threw in, factoring in kind of where my body is at. About every hour I go through a bar just to make sure that I can keep my calories up. And I vary my bar between a couple different flavors. You know, they say variety is the spice of life, and that's true. You don't want to do this just committing to one flavor of anything. You're going to hate it for the rest of your life if you do that. Trust me, watch my first video. So I got a bunch of different types of bars, different flavors, and these are just things that I can eat readily. And I do know that they're not going to freeze on me, which is a big thing. You definitely want to take them out, stick them in the freezer for a little bit, pull them out, see if you can chew on them. If you can, and they don't break your teeth, they're definitely something you can take with you. And I had about 14 bars, like I said, one per hour, but I kept 2 there just in case as backups. And I had that on persons here within my pockets, and it wasn't too much at all just for me to stop every 45 minutes to an hour, pull one of those out, and you can keep marching and just take one of those down. So that was one of the tips that I used. Another thing that I did was I totally got rid of, like, I had a tarp up on here to kind of keep things waterproof, and I totally got rid of that. I remember watching a YouTube video not that long ago for winter camping about people using their bivy sacks as like their own bag, and I think I alluded to that if I do it again, that's what I would wind up doing. So that's kind of what I did here, and I guess let me just go through this. I ditched my super heavy Army warm equipment. I never used that anyway. I brought an extra base layer because the first time I did this, that base layer kind of froze around my body, around my core, and I got pretty hypothermic because of it. So what I did was I took that experience, I brought an extra base layer just around the core, and I switched up and swapped out my really thick, heavy stuff for just a down jacket. I got two little inserts here, 2 little bags. They're waterproof, and underneath this I have my climate sleeping pad. It's rated to 5, R value of 5. I can sleep on the snow if I needed to bivvy out there. But I got my two bags, different colors. One color always has my clothes, and like I said, it's got my down jacket, super light, compacts way easy, and I have my base layer. Some real kind of medium, nothing really too thick, but if I get sweaty and I want to change that out, it won't take me any time at all to do that, and that's important. You definitely want to keep this on top and have it very accessible. One of the tips that I found out, and I was actually commented on this one, complimented about how fast I was in and out of the checkpoint. Having that on top really saved me. I was able to get into the checkpoint. I threw that jacket on, was the first thing I did. It was over every other layer that I had. I just had it on. I started my fire in my stove, and then once I knew that it was good and going to start boiling, I walked off. I filled my water bottle. I used the bathroom. I came back, and by then all the water was already boiling. I called the attendant over. They saw that, said it was good to go. I took that hot water, poured it into one of my thermoses, took my jacket off, stuffed it back in here, and I was gone. And the whole process really took about 10 minutes. One of the guys was out there for about a half an hour, and he was there about half an hour before I was, and we left at the same time. So I got compliments for that. That was kind of cool. That's what's in this bag. The other bag is kind of the stuff you're not going to access. Spare batteries, 3,000 calories of bars, lighters, an extra lighter, and my spare fuel. And what I do have in here as well, also on top, because it's stuff that I'm going to access right away, is my Esbit fuel stove. So I got that one right on top. The jacket goes on. I pull this out. I get the fire starting. 10 minutes. You're in. You're out of the checkpoint. Then you finish the rest of the course. It's in its own colored bag, so you don't mix the two up. Every pocket, every storage thing has a mission. It has a duty. This duty is just stuff that you don't access often, if ever, and the stove. So I keep that right on center, and there's a reason for that, because I have two bungees, and that seems to be the center point where most of the pressure is going to be at. Another thing that I have, I left it right here, hold on. Another thing that I have are two double wall insulated, I don't know, you call them like a thermos. And I keep these just down on the side. I want it accessible so I can just kind of reach under to grab it. And what that does is it fills up the water bottle that I have on my person. And the one that I have on my person is what I have the entire time, and I just kind of continue to refill it from here as needed. I've seen a lot of people stop. They come off their harness, they pull this out, they take a drink, they put it down, and then they go again. And you got to think, you got to stay hydrated. That just takes way too much time. So have something that you can be sipping out of constantly, and you don't need to take a whole lot of time to refuel. These two are here, they're always accessible, and I'll just slide my hand under the sleeping bag, which you'll see how I configure this in a second, to just pull that out if need be. So right now, this is it, and really the last thing I have, like I said, most of my stuff's on person, my bars are on person, headlight is obviously on me, and I got my tail lights, and they're all kind of connected to my harness. All I do now is I take my sleeping bag, and I splurged last year. I bought a Climate 0 degree sleeping bag, and I also switched up my Army bivy sack. The Army sleeping bag and the Army bivy sack, if you combine it all, that's 10 pounds by itself. And this kind of cuts that weight in half. So I'm very happy to have it. And it was huge on lightening my load. So all I do at this point is I just kind of stick it in here, and I get the air out where there's going to be an access point for, like I have a vent here, where if I think snow is going to fall on top, and get my sleeping bag wet, I'll just fold it over right there. And now all I do is I'll take my bungee, and I got one on the other side as well. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Everything stays in place. It's all being pressured by my sleeping bag. The bungee's holding the sleeping bag there. If I need to reach under, I can just reach under, grab my water, and that water stays in place pretty good as well. Make sure it's tucked back under, and I'm good to go. That's really the only tricks that I have. I got one more thing, and that's my lighter. I always keep a lighter on me. I'm not sure what's in these lighters, but me being kind of a chemical dude, I can tell you the physical properties. Isobutane, its vapor point is about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So this is isobutane in this Bic, which it might be, I'm not sure. And that's tucked away somewhere. You know, by the time you get into your checkpoint to boil your water and your fingers are so cold, you're stuck trying to warm this thing up. And it's just easier to get ahead of it. It's even worse if this is just butane. Butane about 30 degrees is its vapor point. So it doesn't need to be super cold for these not to work. And then you're just left trying to warm them up. So I found that it's always easier just to have it here. And it's kind of a survival thing I've always done when I go out in the cold. I just kind of keep it on me. Keeps it warm. I store it upside down in my little pouch so nothing can get in there. No snow can get in there and really interfere with it being able to start a fire. I'm just able to pull it out, take my gloves off for a quick second, pull it out, start the fire, stick it back in, and that's all she wrote, rocking and rolling. I found that this system right here really shaved about 2 hours of my time on the course last year, and that wasn't the best course for it because we didn't have enough snow. I drug this poor thing through the gravel for 6 miles twice because it was a loop that went around twice. There's like a 6-mile section, and I did it twice. So I'm sure if we had enough snow, exactly this configuration, like I said, about 10 pounds with the water, I could have broke it in, I don't know, maybe about 10 hours, 8 hours, probably closer to 10. Anyways, hope this helps. Wish me luck and happy holidays. Stay safe. Aloha.